Welcome to another episode of CoogsTalk. I'm David Soto, and I'm here with
Elisha Qazi
and
Iain Bell.
And we're going to go ahead and just jump right into this. We're going to talk about the men's basketball tournament today. The NCAA tournament has begun. So let's go ahead and just address the elephant in the room. What are your thoughts on the game winner that was scored by Fulgaris?
It was crazy, obviously, because this is what it's all about. March Madness is always about the unexpected, and always suspect the unexpected. And so it just gave us hope that March Madness, because I feel like sometimes it always seems like in other sports, whether it be like NBA, NFL, all the one seeds, or like even college football for the longest time, where all the dominant schools always seem to win. The spread of wealth, the spread of just any opportunity for any given day is kind of always refreshing to see that no matter what. So that's what it kind of gave me hope and
I feel like it reinforces that thing that at the end of the day, whoever shows up, it's really anyone's game. And I feel like especially in college sports now with NIL and all that sort of stuff, sometimes it feels like the rich keep getting rich, and not that either of those teams are struggling, but it's cool to see that a team that was viewed as less than is able to pull off an upset when we're in a world where it doesn't look like there's going to be as many upsets anymore. I
saw an interesting post, and it was so far with 2026, it's the year of new beginnings. And so we've seen it all around. I think we see it on in this occasion right here, because other stuff that we've seen before, we saw Indiana winning the national championship, Kirk Cinetti building Indiana up from the ground, the Seattle Seahawks with Sam Darnold, and now we see this in March Madness. So it's always a good thing. I think it's going to be, when we look back at 2026, if you can give it a one theme, not necessarily a word, but it'd be two words, I think. It would be new beginnings.
Yeah.
To sum up this kind of the sports motto that's been taken upon us in 2026, and so I really like that, and it just keeps reinforcing that great theme we have so far. That's going on pretty strong in the third month.
I agree. So with the Gators out now, who do you think is going to be our top contender moving into the tournament now?
For Houston specifically?
Or just in general. Who do you think is going to be the best team moving forward? Michigan?
I still really like, obviously, gotta back the Cougs.
Right, of course.
Right. I feel like for us, with Florida out, obviously Illinois, one of the best offensive in the country, and we have to respect that. But I think our path looks a lot clearer now. Right. I think that Florida game, all of us that were watching that national championship last year, we all had that feeling of do we really want to see them again? I think we have a really clear shot of this getting to that national championship game, but I still think, for me, Arizona are the favorites. I just think that team is so good. The way they played against us both times, where it's it didn't feel like it was even close at all. And I guess I'm using us as a benchmark for how good they are, but I think we're pretty freaking good. So
because again, Arizona's been in the Big 12 less than us.
Yeah.
It's only by a year. Only by a year. And obviously, I know we had set the standard, a newer standard for newer teams, because I know traditionally Kansas and Iowa State always had, we expect excellence out of Big 12 basketball. But when we talk about U of H and Arizona, they put it to the next degree. And right now, Arizona is, I would say that too. They are, the next big threat. And they always were. I always describe them as speed is their motto, because they just have. While Houston is very complete on the starting five, and I think it's what makes us stand out, Arizona has that, but with more speed and more just, they just come at you so quick.
They pass the ball very well.
Right, ball movement's excellent right there. They have available shooters from the line, because despite we beat Texas A&M, we were terrible at the three-point line, and Arizona will knock those shots down. And it will do it at a more efficient pace than us, and that's what kind of beats them out, because again, last game they played against Utah State, 78-66, and lo and behold, the first game, they blew out their first team, LIU, 92-58, almost over 100 points, so that does say something though. It's going to be really interesting to see if Arkansas can pull it off against Arizona though, and put some respect on Arkansas, but to a certain degree.
Arkansas is one of those teams that are peaking at the right time.
Yes, and that's
important.
I think, not that I counted them out, but I don't think I expected them to play as well as they're doing. But I think, winning, they won the SEC, right? So they're coming from winning the SEC, and they're just bringing all that momentum with them. And they haven't really faced a crazy great team yet. Hawaii's obviously not terrible, and then High Point is a 12 seed, so this is their first.
They pulled off against.
But they pulled it off,
against Wisconsin. But Darius Acuff Jr. I
He's
am a strong believer in him. So this would be a really interesting game, and I think if we want to, I know now we're talking about like Arkansas basketball.
Yeah,
if
let's
you
just
guys
jump
want
into
to find
that. So
your
who do you think between Arizona and Arkansas? What are your thoughts, and who do you think is going to be the winner?
I think for Darius, I think he has a defining moment for him because this is like, because he's having the build up, and if he can get this, like this is a legacy game. I'm going to use that word again. Shout out Calvin Sampson and Kingston Fleming. But this is another game for him because, of course, the come up for him is, he's doing so well. And as you mentioned before, peaking, I think is a really great way to describe Arkansas and their basketball squad this year. And this game can really show it, though. But obviously, though, I wouldn't be
Arizona.
Yeah,
unfortunately, yes.
who are you
anything
taking?
happens.
I think you have to take Arizona, like logically, but I also think with Arkansas in this game, it's like they don't necessarily have anything to lose, right? Technically, Arizona has all the pressure going into this game. I don't think anyone other than maybe Arkansas fans really expects Arkansas to, pull. Like, not saying it's like a crazy game, but no one really expects Arkansas to win. So in a way, like Arizona kind of have that pressure of like, you're that number one seed, like. We've seen you play against some of the best teams in the country. Like, it's kind of like they're expected to have a good game. So in a way, I could see Arkansas just playing really freely without kind of having to think like, this is a game everyone expects us to win.
Reckless abandonment.
Yeah,
kind of
like that sort of vibe. But again, like I just think Arizona is Arizona. They've just been phenomenal this season.
All right, let's move on to the other Western matchup, Purdue and Texas. What are your thoughts, Ian?
I try to say this respectfully. Like, obviously, I know Purdue is a great, basketball school with their basketball program, and they, great consistency for the past couple of years. They're always making them in, but always too is to find, what is unfortunate sometimes with Purdue is that Purdue has all the talent in the world and they just can't follow through. And lo and behold, I mean, you got to give some credit. Obviously, I think the biggest, and I'll just say it now, I'll kind of probably jump to conclusions. Texas, in my opinion, was the biggest, and it still is the biggest Cinderella in this one because they had BYU. They had played a great game against them, beating by 8 points, 79-71.
Okay.
And then the Gonzaga game was just a thriller, how they were able to keep up with them. And even so, it was a thriller, though. They were always one step ahead of them, though. And I think that's what got them there, too. This is going to be the most interesting game, I think, out of the Sweet 16 is going to be UT and Purdue. Because anything can happen for them, but Purdue, I mean, of course, I know they hate to hear the unreassurance of their legitimacy.
So you're taking Texas then?
I would, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take Texas for the Elite Eight because again, this is March.
Sweet 16.
Sweet 16
Yes.
in order to advance to
get
the
to
Elite Eight.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And your thoughts?
Texas was one of those teams that I really didn't believe in, which, like, going into my bracket, I was like, oh, yeah, like, BYU got them easy, like, and then looking at that game, and, like, it was, like, AJ really had, like, no help in that game. I was looking at the stats and everything. I think Texas has gone as far as they're going to go. I think, like, no one looks at Texas and thinks, like, oh, this is a school that, men's basketball is, doing
everybody knows KD. That's about it.
And, like, they're a football school, they're a volleyball school, they're a women's basketball school, they're a swimming school, they're other sports, they're not really a men's basketball school. Right. And I think, like, it would be crazy and it would be a great, great story if Texas won, but I think the story ends in this game, and I think Purdue goes through.
Cinderella's time is up. Then.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I think it's
so we got
that carriage is turning into a pumpkin.
Two differing views on this. I like that. I like that. So let's move on to the South. Obviously, we're pretty biased here. Houston, Illinois. What are your thoughts? First, Elisha?
I hit on it just a little bit ago. Illinois, obviously, their offense is one of the best in the country, if not the best, I believe. But I think we're Coug TV. I can't not go for my guys. Like, I believe in them. I think I know it's hard for us, but if we try to stay out of foul trouble, and we just play Houston defense like we can, I think that it's a no-brainer. I think also if Uzan and Sharp are hitting their shots, right? I think like it's our game to lose in this situation. I mean, we're at home. We have that home crowd advantage, which I know a lot of people are mad about, but like Purdue's played in Indy for like the past couple tournaments. I just think that like it's our game to lose, and I think we just put our best foot out, and I think we win though. I believe in us. Nice. I really do.
And Ian, what do you think about Wagler? How are we going to handle him?
Well, obviously, our defense can have the potential to do that though, and I think there is a great possibility of seeing that though, because again, when it was one thing, as I mentioned before, sometimes Houston can start very slow but end up really strong, and that was kind of happening a little bit at the A&M game. Obviously, in a blink of an eye, it was 24 25, and then it was 48. I'm trying to remember 48 to 28. By halftime was I'm trying to get the right score. Let me make sure. But basically, within a switch, a flip of a switch, 6 minutes of complete no points for A&M.
Yep.
And so if we can apply that pressure again,
Wagler won't be a threat.
Right, of course. It won't seem like the team will be a threat. Looking at the, of course, I know they're so offensively, gifted in a lot of ways. But again, it says right here 84.7 points per game, which that's crazy though. But obviously, I think what we do better is the better ball movement from them, because of course it's kind of a just give it to Wagler kind of a system. When we spread the multitude, spread the welfare. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Spread the welfare a lot of the time with Miles Uzan, Emmanuel Sharp, Kingston Fleming, and as well when Christian Nat's down the paint, as well as JoJo.
Yeah.
That was a great
JoJo can
dunk.
get some big buckets.
We do well when we have at least 3 or 4 people scoring more than 10 points. That seems to be our key, is being efficient with the ball.
And again, home crowd basically. I know that helped us a lot because this is our biggest stage so far. With if we do win Sweet 16, of course, we still stay at home with the Elite Eight, and so it's a lot going in really to ride in for a lot of momentum.
But that Elite Eight game is 2 big fan bases that love to travel.
True, and that is very true. And the red on red. Imagine if Nebraska does win, the red on gosh,
So let's look at the next Southern Conference. Let's look at that next matchup. We got Nebraska and Iowa. What are your thoughts on that one, Ian? Let's start with you.
It's very interesting. Nebraska, if you were to ask this question maybe a month or 2 ago, I would have maybe said Nebraska Final Four. Iowa, though, as we talked before off camera, there's a lot of momentum with beating the defending national champions. And this is going to be another interesting toss-up in a lot of ways, too. It's going to have that kind of that momentum with the equivalency, as I mentioned about my view on the Purdue and UT game. I can see it going kind of both ways because Nebraska, while they have a very efficient offense in a lot of ways, what Iowa did in that game against Florida, the clutch threes that they had in the right time, they were able to get, as it was Peyton Stanford, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 4 3-pointers, 50% on the field. That's a day for him. And so
those are some nice stats.
It's what you need to do against any team in order to push your team to the next level. And of course, as well too, with Nebraska, it does have more injuries that could significantly kind of hurt them in the long run. We just saw that recently with Texas Tech, as they could have had a really decent game against Alabama, but lo and behold, they had their best player out with an ACL injury. And compared to, as we see right here, is what my thing is showing right here. 3 of their major guys, of Nebraska's guys, are going to be out. But then only 1 guard is going to be out for Iowa, being Peyton McCullough. So give me.
So you're taking Iowa.
Yes, give me the Hawkeyes.
And how about you? What's your thoughts?
I think I'm also taking Iowa. As I said, I think the momentum you get of upsetting a number 1 seed, no matter what seed you are, that's just something that can really push you through. I'm looking at just straight numbers. Iowa's shooting a little bit better than their field goal percentage, a little bit better. And with Nebraska having 3 players out, stuff like that, as unfortunate as it is in March, that's how it is. There's certain teams where it's when you don't have your main guys in March, it shows, especially at this point in the tournament.
Yes.
First 2 rounds, maybe not, but now it's getting really serious, and teams are finding that momentum. So yeah, I think I have Iowa going through as well.
Yeah, it's Nebraska's first time ever in the Sweet 16, so that lack of experience might show.
And that's very true.
But I know their fans are going to shout out, be in the streets of Houston, have a great time.
For sure. And they're going to be the game before Houston plays, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yes, this because Nebraska was the game before, or a game after actually. U of H. It was so funny when A&M, all the people had left, and more red showed up.
Yeah.
But it wasn't our red. It was I don't know what the Pacific red is for Nebraska, but you guys showed up, the Cornhuskers. I at least saw the little tint of yellow with
the Cornhuskers.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to the East now. Duke versus St. John's. Alicia, your thoughts?
With this one, we were talking a little bit off camera about this too. I think Duke has just had a really slow start to this tournament. I do want to bring up that comment from Malik Brown during that Siena game, during halftime, where he kind of talked about them coming in as that being a cakewalk. I thought that was kind of crazy to say, especially on national TV. I just think that it's a team where I don't feel great in what they've done this tournament. I'm sure they can maybe turn it up. It's historically a great team. I know Cam Boozer is one of the best players in the country, but I just don't think from what I've seen of them this tournament that I'm like fully convinced that they could get out of this like kind of slow start that they've been having.
So
in
are
every
you
round.
picking the Blue Devils over the Red Storm?
I think I'm gonna go with St. John's.
Okay, so the
Yeah,
Red Storm over the Blue Devils. All
yeah.
right. And your thoughts?
And I'm feeling it too in a lot of ways because again, the Siena game, they were down by 10 at half, and then with TCU, despite them having a good win against Ohio State, Duke was only up by 2 points though, so it's still like anybody's game. And while Cameron Bruiser is a great player though, I just do feel like in a lot of ways, Rick Pitino, can get his team to rally up because of course that's what happened in Kansas. That's what they do. That's what he's always built his squads in, no matter if it's Louisville or St. John's. He's always going to fight until the bell rings. And Duke, and the thing about Duke is like when they're hot and nobody can touch them. But if they're kind of on shaky ground, because again last year that happened, Cooper Flagg is a generational talent, but yet again they had lost in the final minutes to yours truly. But but I mean, it's going to be something really interesting. So I will go. I believe in the Red Storm, and I think they can make it to the Elite Eight against potentially.
So two
Michigan
St.
State.
John picks here.
Yeah.
All right, let's go into the Midwest now. Michigan versus Alabama. Let's go ahead and start off with you, Elisha.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know too much about both of these teams, but I think this is also a game where I think Alabama obviously had a great game against Tech, but Tech, their best players out, and I think there's teams where when their best players out, you just can't compare it to a team like Michigan. I mean, Michigan's kind of steamrolled through their portion of the bracket, so I think I'm picking Michigan.
Okay. Yaxel Lindbergh and crew. What are your thoughts?
I could see this game being closer than it can be. I mean, I know that, I don't know if I know Alabama fans are always kind of loud.
Yeah.
And so, of course, there's, of course, always a chip on the shoulder that you're in the Sweet 16, and I get it right now. But I do feel that way too because, again, I could have, if Tech had everybody healthy, I think that could have been a really great game, and we would talk about this game more and more. But as of now, I think Michigan, still has the flow, and they are a couple notches up, and therefore I think they'll have the win. It'll be interesting because, of course, I think a really interesting matchup because in their bracket they would either have Tennessee or Virginia. And I think this is where we see kind of Michigan trying to see where they're at because, of course, they lost significant. They lost in a really their first big loss was against Wisconsin, and that was a very close in battle. And I think when we start seeing these teams. I'm so sorry. I did not say. I missed it. It was not Tennessee.
Iowa State.
I read the wrong thing. It was Tennessee or Iowa State because again, Iowa State is a very dominant school.
Yeah.
And then Tennessee again because what I was pointing out. This is what I meant to point out. What I meant to point out was the Virginia game that Tennessee had won 79-72, a close ending game, and those are the games that sometimes Michigan gets a little bit the wheels fall off in that one. So that's gonna be something really interesting to see later on. But focusing within the Sweet 16, give me Michigan over Alabama.
So we got Michigan and Michigan. All right, and obviously having one of your players arrested before the tournament is never a good thing.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next matchup and the final matchup of the Sweet 16. In the Midwest, we have Iowa State versus Tennessee. So let's get your thoughts first, Ian.
I think Iowa State can do it. Despite Tennessee having a great game, as I mentioned before, Iowa State's another really good completed team. And I think that's the big difference between Big 12 basketball compared to any other conference. I know some people like to hype up the Big 10, but rather than Big 10 players that like to solely base it on one player, Big 12, we want a really great spread out, all around the board. And we want dominant players, and Iowa State is one of those schools that has that, just that offensive efficiency as well. They have great defense as well, and they can come at you at any given moment. They're kind of like Florida last year in a lot of ways. So give me the Cyclones for that one.
All right.
I'm with Ian. Give us our Big 12 buddies. Let's go.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the Cinderella stories. Who are your Cinderella picks for this tournament for the men's basketball?
I feel like we're kind of in agreement with Texas. I think Texas I don't think anyone other than UT fans maybe predicted them to even get past BYU.
Right.
So I think for them to even make it to the Sweet 16 is huge. And if they can win that game, I mean, sky's the limit for that program, and I think it's really, really great for them.
Yeah, and your thoughts, Ian?
I do say UT, but as well to kind of maybe see another flip side is, of course, we always talk about Power 4, but non-Power 4 school, let's give it to St. John's because, again, they're one of the most well-coached teams, and as well, I don't think they may get the recognition because, again, everybody knows UT because they're one of the biggest schools in the United States of America. But St. John's with it being like a smaller school, with it being the Big East, excuse me, not the Big East, the Big East, and they played a great game when they won their conference championship against UConn. I think they have the next notch up for it. So I mean, while I think it's universally agreed, it's UT. I think as well if St. John's does win and goes further as far as the Final Four, give it to St. John's.
So Longhorns and Red Storm are your Cinderella picks.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna go ahead and just take a quick look at the women's bracket. I'm just gonna get your picks real quick.
Of course.
We got Vanderbilt versus Notre Dame. What are your thoughts? What do you want to pick?
I got Vanderbilt. Michaela Blakes is insane. I think Notre Dame this year is a down year for them. Hannah Hidalgo is their biggest threat. If Vanderbilt can shut her down, that game's theirs.
Who are you picking?
I do see Vanderbilt because, again, it's just if you just focus on one player, then you just shut down the entire starting five for the Fighting Irish. So, yeah, anchor down for the Vanderbilts.
All right. Now, UConn versus North Carolina.
UConn have two of the best players in the country, Sarah Strong, AZ Fudd. I mean, they were insane against Syracuse. I mean, I don't think any team is close to a lot of the one seeds in this tournament. I think I'm definitely taking
the Huskies,
UConn. Yeah, Huskies all day.
I know we argued in the Jubilee video, but obviously, of course, you do make a lot of great points because, of course, I think I would take UConn over North Carolina because, again, they've averaged at least 90 points per game. They beat UTSA 90 to 52. They beat Syracuse 98 to 45, almost dropping 100 points, half of the score of Syracuse as a whole throughout the whole game. So, yeah, obviously, give me UConn.
Yeah, they have an excellent program. UCLA versus Minnesota.
Minnesota was interesting. I really didn't think they would beat Ole Miss. That Amaya Battle buzzer beater was just insane. It was great to watch a Minnesota kid bring Minnesota to the Sweet 16 again. But UCLA their guards are on a different level this year. Kiki Rice, Yana Neepkins are just insane. Lauren Betts is unstoppable when she's in a groove. I have UCLA.
Okay, and you? Who are you picking?
That buzzer beater did bring faith and hope because, again, March Madness is always for anybody. So and that's what it's for. You want the hometown hero to pull out. So give me Minnesota.
Okay, LSU and Duke.
This was actually the most difficult one for me to pick, just because at the beginning of the season LSU beat the lights out of Duke. But I think Duke has gotten so much better since the beginning of the season, and I really don't think LSU has changed that much. I think this game could really go either way, but historically speaking, I think LSU edges just slightly and takes the win.
Go Tigers. And you?
I would say LSU, but I would say it's pretty dominant. Not to say that Duke isn't, a dominant force within, though, because of course they are a basketball program. But again, you can make the argument that if, say, LSU just go as far to go against UConn, that they can make a run for their money. They're averaging 100 points per game, 116-58 against Jacksonville, and then 101 against 47 against Texas Tech. So, I mean, you can argue because they are a team that can give the best team in women's college basketball, UConn, a run for their money. I'm going to get LSU, but I can see it going both ways, but I can't see it, being
You're
one-sided.
taking LSU over Duke. Gotcha. Okay, so moving on, Michigan and Louisville.
This one's an interesting one. Louisville was high on my board as we were reaching the tournament, but I think the game against Alabama I thought that Louisville would really separate themselves a bit more, but that was a really hard game for them. And then Michigan, Silas Swords and Olivia Olson are both insanely great players. I mean, I think Olivia Olson was a second-team All-American, correct me if I'm wrong, and Silas Swords, when Silas Swords is hot, when she knows she's on primetime television, bro, she be letting those threes fly and they go in and you're like, what? Who's making that shot? Yeah. So I think if it goes down to the wire, which it could, I think Michigan just have that star power in that sophomore class that can really just bring them.
And you're picking.
I agree too. Michigan is kind of the better team all around. And what's good about, in March, if you are actually showing off, because it does seem like, people take advantage. It's the first and second round, it doesn't really matter. But those games, I feel like they do matter because they help you kind of get you in that stride for it. Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, and then championship. So I think Michigan is a really just well-oiled machine right now. So give me the Wolverines over Louisville.
Nice. And we're going to go ahead and go with Texas and Kentucky. Your thoughts?
Give me Texas. I think Texas has just dominated the SEC. they beat Kentucky already this season. I think it's a team that they know very well.
Yeah.
Madison Booker had like 40 points last game. I think she's kind of getting into her best basketball. And yeah, I just have Texas.
Longhorns. Okay.
Me too. They're, again, another school that can make a run for their money if they would go as far to going against UConn. So yeah, give me UT over Kentucky.
All right, let's go right into South Carolina and Oklahoma.
South Carolina, of course, South Carolina is known for its royalty within basketball, and Oklahoma is on the upcoming though within women's basketball though, and that I think that is going to be. I know you mentioned before Duke and LSU being like the tight one, but I could see this one being like a lot more.
Oklahoma's already beat them this season
and that too,
during SEC play.
Right, and that too, and as well too, Oklahoma had a really clutch game, beating Michigan State only by 6 points, 77-71. It's very hard.
So which one are you gonna pick? You gotta pick one.
I know. I hate to say, but give me Oklahoma.
Okay, and you?
I'm going South Carolina. I think I said it when we were talking about UConn. I think the 1 seeds this year, all 4 of them have just really separated themselves from everybody else. Yeah, Oklahoma did beat South Carolina during conference play, but Dawn Stanley is not letting her team do that during
of course
the Sweet 16. I think that this team is prepared for this. I think if anyone watched the game against USC, they were getting in the lane. They were just getting really easy buckets. I think if they stick to that same sort of game plan, they can easily run up the score like they have been doing.
Sounds good. And our final matchup is going to be TCU versus Virginia. Let's go ahead and get your thoughts first. And your pick.
Yeah. Well, getting into the Cinderella story of it all. Virginia, man, like I didn't even have them getting past Georgia. Georgia this year I thought was really great. They've had some good wins. They beat Kentucky and Vanderbilt, which Vanderbilt's a 2 seed in here, so I kind of had Georgia going in. Virginia, I think, is the first ever first 4 team to make it to the Sweet 16.
Okay.
And they're also like one of the few 10s to beat a 2. I think it's like the 5th ever time a 10 seed has beat a 2 seed.
And in the game winning double overtime.
Yeah, in the game winning double overtime, Kamora Johnson is playing like amazing basketball. Like they've just really proven themselves this tournament.
Okay. So we're going Virginia.
But
you're gonna take the safe bet.
I know.
You know what? TCU is one of those teams that frustrate me because I feel like they should be better than they are sometimes.
I feel that too.
I feel like Olivia Miles, if you guys watched the Washington game, there was like 3 times she could have scored a game winner and she bricked it every single time. So you know what? I am gonna go for Virginia getting that Cinderella story. I'm gonna go 10 Virginia. I'm gonna go.
I like
with
the
them.
risk. I
With
like
them.
that.
Yeah.
And your pick.
I did see TCU actually here play the women's game,
yeah,
and I mean that did set a lot of statements though. And of course they were looking really forward to this though within that game. I know that was a couple weeks before the official March Madness tournament had started for the women's, and I mean, they have, I think what he's really good at, their coaching staff is really good. It's really great tunnel vision, very narrow down, being like, we got one goal, one focus. And despite Virginia, and I do, respect Virginia's legitimacy, and I do take them as a very big threat, though. I think this is a game that they can get in the bag if they can just wrap it up and make all their shooters, get their shots and shoot it very eloquently and get, on the ball, basically.
Okay.
I got TC.
Thanks for watching CoogsTalk. I'm David Soto.
I'm Elisha Qazi.
I'm Iain Bell.
And as usual, go Cougs.